Alrighty, let's get right into it, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Saturday live stream for Week 1 of the 2024 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next 2 hours, I'm going to be answering starter sit questions going into Week 1. So for those of you who have questions, please be sure to go ahead and type them in the live chat or send it via super chat if you want priority in terms of getting your questions answered quickly. Also, when you ask a question, please be sure to include your scoring format. I see many of you in the chat have already posted a question. I see Mostert or Swift. The scoring format certainly will make a difference in regards to that entire potential going into the weekend. Half PPR, full PPR, standard. Be greatly appreciated. While you guys are, of course, here, first and foremost, welcome. I appreciate you guys joining us. If you guys haven't yet already, click the like button down below. Over the course of today's live stream, besides answering questions, I also want to go ahead and put together a couple pick'em slips via Underdog Fantasy. Yesterday, we got saved by the vulture insurance that the entire Week 1 has. If you pick a running back to score an anytime touchdown, if that touchdown is yoinked, in the case of Josh Jacobs last night, it was, your entire bet is rescued. So you don't lose any money and you're good to go. And you get a play like this, which, again, this is for me. But, everything went pretty well yesterday. Outside of that, we'll talk about a couple potential pick'em slips that we'll put together going into this week. I put together a couple other ones last night that I feel really confident about, and we should be good to go. Obviously, from the thumbnail of today's live stream, it is Justin Fields. We're hearing more and more from at least the reporters, specifically Ian Rappaport this morning, said that the team is trending in the direction of starting Justin Fields tomorrow against the Atlanta Falcons. Again, if he does play, we know how valuable he can be for fantasy purposes. I mean, his rushing ability alone is very, very valuable. So in comparison to someone like Russell Wilson, who we weren't really keen on starting, mainly because he doesn't have as much of a rushing potential upside, even though last year he did get himself moving, considering the calf injury, it pretty much nullifies any of that rushing upside in comparison. But yeah, we'll talk about the potential rankings. Tomorrow morning, I will be live streaming here on the channel from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time like I do every single Sunday morning. We will have up-to-date rankings for all positions. Top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 tight ends and quarterbacks, and top 12 kickers and defenses. So be sure to swing on by tomorrow morning if you want the final word in regards to potential starter sits. But hopefully we can go ahead and answer as many as we can today. Last night's game was fun, right? Pretty high-scoring game. You would have thought that potentially Saquon Barkley would have shared the love a little bit more, but I mean, getting it done through the air, on the ground twice. Jalen Hurts turning over the ball 3 separate times definitely hurts him. -6 points in that regard. I mean, it's going to kill you in a given week. Jordan Love, Jaden Reed is obviously that number one. Romeo Doubs nowhere to be found. The tight end position for the Green Bay Packers nowhere to be found. Christian Watson, a little bit of utilization down in the red zone. Got himself, I think it was 3 red zone targets, maybe 4. Ended up scoring a touchdown, which is great. We can once again confirm that the secondary of the New England, was confirmed just, I would say, maybe 30 minutes ago that he sprained his MCL. I don't expect that to be something that is going to hold him out. Again, I'm not a doctor, but at worst, it's maybe 1 or 2 week, like them being cautious with him. And hopefully it's nothing worse than that, and we'll be good to go. Okay, let's get into answering some of these questions for Week 1 of the season. I see a question on the top here from Alex F. in the chat. He says, Ridley or Coleman in a full PPR? Yeah, I'd rather have Calvin Ridley than Keon Coleman this week. Keon Coleman, again, is one of these rookies that he's competing with Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid for targets. And until we get an understanding as to how much utilization he's going to get within the offense, which, quite frankly, is probably not going to be much. Just like we witnessed last season, Stephon Diggs is the number 1 wide receiver in a Joe Brady led offense as their offensive coordinator. He was averaging like 8 targets per game. So if the number 1's going to get at the wide receiver position 8 targets per game, you're going to have to do a lot with those overall opportunities in order to be a significantly better wide receiver option than a Calvin Ridley. We don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is playing. He's probably trending towards playing, but will probably be limited in some sort of capacity. So I lean in the direction of Ridley in that scenario. Raptors fan 382 says Pickens to the moon. I don't know if Justin Fields technically means Pickens to the moon, but who else is he going to throw the ball to? It's Pickens or it's Freiermuth. I doubt we're sending the ball in the direction of someone like Van Jefferson on a consistent enough basis to where he is any bit valuable within the given week. Inbound says, did we underrate Saquon? No, I mean, he was a top 5 running back. I don't think you can underrate that. This is the thing, like there are going to be some weeks where that tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it, it's going to work and it's going to yoink touchdowns away from him. But I don't think we technically underrated a top 5 running back. I don't think that's possible. Anthony O sends in a super chat. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. Says in a full PPR, who do I flex this week? Terry McLaurin, Brandon Cooks, or Brian Robinson Jr.? I would 100% play Terry McLaurin, especially because of the format of the full PPR. Brandon Cooks, again, it's a difficult matchup against the Cleveland Browns secondary. He's very much so touchdown dependent. He did score 8 touchdowns last year, but it wasn't an offense that was at the top of the league. I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat at that similar level. Brian Robinson Jr. has a pretty tough matchup against Tampa Bay. They only allowed 5 rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs last season. That was the best in the National Football League within that given statistic. Obviously, Tampa Bay, their run-stopping defense has been good over the years. So McLaurin is the play, mainly because the run game may not be as consistent throughout that game. And additionally, with Tampa Bay taking most likely an early lead because that Washington defense isn't great, it will force a lot of McLaurin action in the second half within the passing game. Thank you, Anthony, for the question. Appreciate it. We had a follow-up question from Todd Grayson. Thank you, Todd. Todd sends in a super chat saying, in a full PPR, Andrew, I need one of the following 3 players: Pollard, Mostert, or Hubbard. In a full PPR, in my mind, it's between Mostert and Hubbard. I don't love the idea of playing Pollard against the Chicago Bears, mainly because the way that I see this backfield splitting up between Pollard and Spears, both of them are going to get themselves receiving utilization. I would assume that Pollard is going to carry the majority of rushing attempts within the offense, but considering the matchup against Chicago is such a difficult one, they were top, 6 in all categories in terms of run stop, DVOA, in terms of fantasy points per game allowed to opposing running backs, in terms of rushing statistics isolated. They were great across the board. So the assumption would be that it's between Mostert and Hubbard. I'm going to lean in the direction of playing Mostert there, mainly because of the touchdown upside that is implicated within the high-scoring matchup that Vegas has already kind of assumed based on the grand total of points within the bets that are going on in that regard. So I'd assume that Mostert, their primary goal line back, would at least be able to find himself in the end zone and pretty good volume of touches that would make his week better than the alternative options you have available there, Todd. Thank you. After Todd's question, we had Precision Building. Thank you very much. It says, welcome back, Andrew. Welcome back. Man, I've been here for the last 37 days straight. What do you mean, welcome back? You guys just find me? I mean, I've been making videos since August 1st. But thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Ford or Mostert? Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I don't think... perhaps in a full PPR, I could consider playing Ford over Mostert, but I don't think I would. I think week 1, I'm still going to play Mostert in that regard. Ford is a great play. Don't get it twisted. They take on the Dallas Cowboys. What Dallas definitely did struggle, especially late last season, was stopping the run. On multiple occasions, they got exploited in games in which they just could not do so. So in this circumstance, I'm thinking it's probably the best overall approach just to start the running back that I find is more likely to score that touchdown in a higher scoring matchup. Mostert, again, it's still early in the season. He will get a good volume of touches. HN won't completely supplant him off of the rippy skippy. All right, moving on. We had another question here from Leo the Leak, who says the following. In a 6-point per passing 2-quarterback league, start Fields or Cousins? I currently have Fields ahead of Cousins. Wait. I have him ahead of Cousins in a 4-point per passing touchdown format. Now that you bring up the idea of a 6-point per passing touchdown format, I think it may be safer to roll with Kirk. Assume he'll be able to get himself 250 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns within the overall contest. At that point, you get yourself, 12 plus 8? I mean, you get yourself 22 points. I think that's probably the safest of the bunch between the two, assuming no turnovers from Kirk. If you had a lesser option, if you had said hey, I have Fields or I have to play someone like Purdy, I'd just legitimately play for Fields this week. Thank you for the question. Anthony O sends in a follow-up, says, in a full PPR, would you start the Bears defense over the Jets? Yes, I have the Bears defense ranked higher than the Jets defense this weekend. That being said, I would not drop the Jets defense because in the next 3 weeks to follow, weeks 2 through 4, they have really easy matchups. If I'm not mistaken, they take on Tennessee next week, which is against Will Levis. Then they take on the New England Patriots, which again is either going to be Brissett or Drake May at the point. And in the week after, they take on Denver and Bo Nix. So the Jets defense from weeks 2 through 4 will probably be putting up double-digit fantasy points every week. You want to keep them on roster, so do not drop them. Thank you, Anthony, for the question. All right, let's see here. Just looking at the live chat. Your boy says, full PPR, Ayuk, Odunze, or Kirk. I'd play Ayuk there. Alpha420 says, 10-team PPR, Minshew, Christian McCaffrey, okay, good one. Ingold, Cup, Thielen, Bowers. I see what you tried to do there. That's disrespectful, Alpha. The Joka says, in a 12-team half PPR flex, Deontay Johnson, Jamal Williams, or Ford. In a half PPR between those three options, I'd play Jerome Ford. Then Deontay Johnson second, and then it would be Jamal Williams. But let's be honest, Jamal Williams is probably going to be number 3 on the team in terms of rushing attempts, behind, of course, Alvin Kamara first and foremost, then Taysom Hill. So for sure, out of the 3 potential options, it's Jerome Ford. All right, let's see here. After Anthony O's super chat, Alpha, yep, I saw that super chat. Again, I see what you're trying to do there. I don't like it. Mike Sherm sends in a super chat. Says, my starters are CJ Stroud, James Cook, Travis Etienne, Tyreek Hill, George Pickens, Brock Bowers, Ramondre Stevenson. My bench consists of Jerome Ford. What is this? Who the heck is that? Is that Ty Chandler? Okay, Ty Chandler, Josh Palmer, Brian Thomas Jr. Who should I flex? I mean, as it currently stands with James Cook, Travis Etienne, Tyreek Hill, George Pickens, you're good to go there. I wouldn't change any of those options. You have CJ Stroud, you have Brock Bowers, no additional other tight end on roster. So it's between Ramondre Stevenson and Jerome Ford. You're playing in a full PPR as it currently stands. Let's go check the rankings. Control F, Ramondre. I have Ramondre one spot behind Jerome Ford. So I would play Ford there in his stead. Thank you for the question. Okay, scrolling down here. What do we have? Shrey says Chase Brown versus Mooney versus Jonnu in a full PPR. I would not play Jonnu this week in comparison to those other options. I think it's just Jonnu is going to be a boom or bust kind of approach going forward. There's a reason why he's like a deeper sleeper that no one pays attention to. I don't even feel confident enough myself I am the president of the Jonnu Smith 2024 Fantasy Football Fan Club. And I still don't feel confident enough throwing him out there week 1 because I do believe that there are just better alternative options in his stead that you can find on the waivers. This being said, of the available options you have in a full PPR scoring format, am I playing Chase Brown over Darnell Mooney? I probably am. I'd probably play Chase Brown there, especially with all the receiving pieces for the Bengals kind of just disappearing as of late. And the way that the Bengals have utilized their running backs in the last couple of years, specifically Joe Mixon, 2021 to 2023, averaging over 4 receptions per game. If those can be implemented and kind of integrated within Chase Brown's third down receiving work, maybe even earlier down receiving work, on top of whatever rushing work he's going to get, mainly because they're going to be leading for majority of this game, Chase Brown's probably the play in that circumstance. Max Block says Jaylen Warren, Chuba Hubbard, or Brian Thomas. It's probably Chuba Hubbard there. I think it's the safest of the bunch. Brian Thomas Jr., again, I still think he's going to be a solid play, mainly because of the fact that it's going to be a higher scoring game. The Jacksonville Jaguars, for majority of that contest against the Miami Dolphins, will be trying to claw back and throw themselves back into the game. So Brian Thomas will get himself his utilization. So will Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne. But as to how much upside, again, he's still a rookie. We're not 100% certain as to what kind of workload he is going to immediately see on, the first day. Goblins says, was I wrong to start Palmer over Xavier Worthy? I mean, Xavier Worthy touched the ball 3 times. He scored 2 touchdowns. Were we to assume that every time he touched the ball, he was going to score a touchdown? No. It's safe to assume that, majority of players who touch the ball are not going to instantly score. He scored this week. Great. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, going forward, we can hope that he can continue that trend of at least being, one of these boom or bust players that if we are in a bind, we can throw him in there as our flex and he can have a big performance. But I don't think you're objectively wrong in the decision because Palmer will get himself his opportunities that he needs. Hopefully he finds himself in the end zone so it doesn't feel harsh. Let's see here. Human Ziggy says, Jonnu Smith is being used in the backfield. I know. I mean, look, in the preseason game against the Washington Commanders, Jonnu Smith literally was utilized on a jet sweep. They motioned him in the backfield. They handed him off the ball, and he went for 9 yards. So they're going to utilize him in many of ways. If you guys remember back in the day when he was with the New England Patriots, they used him in the backfield there. New England Patriots kind of, they utilized Cordero Patterson as a running back to begin. They utilized Jonnu Smith as a running back to begin. The Patriots, they were ahead of their time, but, obviously not the greatest overall team in terms of offensive production over the course of the last couple seasons here without Brady. But nonetheless, in terms of overall usage, yeah, he should be utilized all across the field. Gibbs yards over or under. I don't know what his over or under is. I'd have to go check that in a moment. history. Yoshivas or BTJ. As it currently stands, it would probably be BTJ until we get a confirmation on Jamar Chase. If Jamar Chase doesn't go, then it's Yoshivas. Elijah says Hubbard or Moss in a full PPR. I'd play Hubbard there. I think there's just more implied receiving utilization. Waddle or Dell in week 1, says Nick Walker. Nick, I would play Waddle there. Michael Barton with the super chat. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Says in a PPR, I have Mostert, Javonte, and or Singletary going. Okay, between those three, I could convince myself to play any of the three, to be totally honest. Mainly because Singletary and Javonte are going to get themselves, I would hope, 3 or more receptions within the given game. All right, let's go look at these rankings. PPR. I have Javonte. Yeah, I have Javonte ahead of the group. Javonte would be the play in my mind. As for your second question here, Michael, says, oh, then pick two in a full PPR between the following: Deontay Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, Pollard, Palmer. Got it. In a full PPR, I'd probably end up playing both the receivers. I'd play Deontay Johnson and I'd play Palmer there, Michael. Finally, pick 2 out of the following: Zamir White, Ford, Chuba Hubbard, and Najee Harris. Between those 4, as your final question, Zamir White and Ford. Thank you. Pitts or Laporta this week? I'd play Laporta 100%. I mean, you could play both, but why wouldn't you play Laporta? I mean, you drafted him as early as you could, and he's probably the best tight end in the league, so why wouldn't you just go ahead and fire him up, huh? Jerome Ford or Deontay Johnson, full PPR? It's probably Deontay between the two, but it's going to be close. It'll be close for sure. Let's see here. Kamikaze says, trade Brian Robinson Jr. or Deontay Johnson for Jake Ferguson. My tight ends are currently Taysom Hill. Yeah, I don't mind trading either of them. You could wait a week and see if either of them have a better performance. So maybe you could trade up for an even better tight end. But as it currently stands, like, I'm comfortable with Taysom Hill this week. I only have him 1 spot behind Jake Ferguson in a half PPR. So if you want to wait Kamikaze and then just kind of see how it persists going forward, you can. Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow? I have Jaden Daniels ahead of him this week. Q train. Let's hear. Daniel Cap says, I took Ingram this year because of his catches. Yeah, I mean, again, in a full PPR, should be solid. Joe Lozano, thank you very much for the super chat, says, in a full PPR, do I flex Ramondre, Tank Dell, or Malik Neighbors? Between the 3, I'd probably go with Malik Neighbors. I think there's just more of a target volume and more of an advantage of him getting a high volume of receptions. I would like to assume that Malik Neighbors' numbers look very similar to what we got out of Devontae Smith last night, which was, 7 catches for 80-something? I'm hoping for that. Now, if he's able to score a touchdown, even better. All right, let's see here. Marie in the chat says, should I start Chase Brown or Brian Robinson in a full PPR? In a full PPR, I'd play Chase Brown there. Nick Walker has a follow-up, says, 49ers defense or Saints this week? If I'm not mistaken, let me go and check where my defensive rankings are. So I was tweaking it last night. I could also tweak it once again. I have the Saints ahead of the 49ers this week in terms of my rankings, mainly because of, they played really well against Carolina last season and will probably continue as such if Bryce Young doesn't have a huge uptick of production. We had a follow-up. Okay, we had a super chat question came in from Awesomer 74089 who says, pick 1.5 PPR, Jerome Ford, Chris Godwin, or Tank Dell. In a half PPR, typically, rule of thumb is I want to lean with the running back, but in this certain circumstance, I really feel confident about Chris Godwin this week. I'm gonna go in that direction. Andrew Clark in the chat says, Achan, please score me 40 points tomorrow. I mean, listen, I don't think we have to ask Achan. We have to ask the fantasy gods to bless us. That's really what it is. Tomorrow morning, when we're here at 7 to 10 a.m., we are going to be in the fantasy church. We're going to be asking the fantasy gods to bless our teams and really get us on the right direction. And that's going to be the hope. So we'll have to wait and see. What the heck is that? All right, we're good to go. We're moving on. There's a question from Logan T. Jones in the chat. He says, Najee Harris or Jerome Ford in a full PPR. I will take Jerome Ford there. Alex D sends in a super chat. Thank you, Alex. Says, pick 2 out of the following: Pickens, Najee Harris, Jerome Ford. Okay, so let's figure that one out. First and foremost, what is your scoring format, Alex? If you can tell me that, that'd be greatly appreciated. And then at that point, I can transition into the follow-up question that you have. What's George ceiling? Says Amir. George Pickens' ceiling is, a monster game. That's really what it is. But again, you have to understand it's pretty good coverage in terms of the secondary for the Atlanta Falcons. And the quarterback play may not be as fine-tuned to get him in the right position, but he's an athletic guy, and hopefully Justin Fields is going to be able to just toss it up and let him go get it. Chase Brown or Swift in a half PPR? Sven, I would play Swift there. That's a pretty straightforward one. Top 3 defenses of the week. I think it's Cincinnati, Seattle, Cleveland, something like that. One of those orders. Cooper or Godwin? I'd rather play Godwin this week. All right, let's see. Where's Alex? Alex says it's a 10-team half PPR. Got it. Okay, so Alex, in your circumstance, I'm probably playing both of the... I'm playing Jerome Ford for sure. As for Pickens and Najee, let's see where I have them accordingly. Pickens... Where are you on my list? And then... Not there. I got to go to the half PPR. Pickens, okay, Najee. Yeah, it's both the running backs. That's the play for now. Yeah, so for right now, Alex, I play Najee and Jerome. As for your follow-up question, Jake Ferguson versus Njoku, I would take Njoku there. Rob Morman says, Montgomery or Pickens? I'll take Montgomery there. JRR Tokens says, better bench stash in a half PPR. Jalen Wright or Jordan Mason? I think it's Jalen Wright. Lad McConkey or Terry McLaurin in the flex? Raphael, I would play Terry McLaurin there. Rogo sends in a super chat, says, what's up, Andrew? In a half PPR, 10-team league. Very well. Look to drop Khalil Herbert / Dowdle for Mason. Yes, I would drop Khalil Herbert for Jordan Mason. I don't have an issue with that. I have an open roster spot, not a Christian McCaffrey owner. How would you go about it? Yeah, that's fine. I would drop Khalil Herbert and I would pick up Jordan Mason. I have no issue with that at all. From the press conference that Matt Eberflus, the head coach of the, what's it called? Chicago Bears, had yesterday, they specifically asked him, hey, why did you guys bring in DeAndre Swift this offseason? He says, we wanted home run ability, and we also wanted to really clean up the committee situation we had and have a guy that can be vital on all 3 downs. So it's going to be the DeAndre Swift show going forward. And Khalil Herbert, again, can be of value in case of an injury, but if I'm going to rely upon one of these 2 backs, Herbert or Mason, I'd probably just lean towards Mason, considering the running back he's associated with already has an injury that has kind of been, obviously plaguing him for the last month here with the calf / Achilles injury that Christian McCaffrey's dealing with. So yeah, I drop Herbert, pick up Mason. Thank you, Rogo. Appreciate it. Mo Hassan says, Neighbors over Moore versus Snead. Yes, I would. I'd play Neighbors there. As the week has progressed, I was already sketchy on DJ Moore when I made my original wide receiver rankings video earlier this week. I was already sketched out about it. Then to go further beyond that, as the week has progressed, I just started concerning myself even more and more to where a lot of other wide receivers have jumped ahead of him. Stephen Drake sends in a super chat. Thank you, Stephen. Half PPR, Kyler, Geno, or Baker Mayfield. I play Kyler there. Let's see here. What do we have? Daniel Cap says, Andrew, would you play Achane, Montgomery, Stevenson, Pollard? Yeah, it's Achane, and it's not even a question. I don't understand, guys. Why are you not starting your first and second round picks? What are we doing? This is crazy. Cup or Collins? Both, Nathan. Concerned about Derrick Henry? Nope. Not even a little bit. You got to understand that the matchup itself against Kansas City is a difficult one. And going up against other teams in the future weeks, they're probably going to be in advantageous positions to where they're leading the game in scoring and they're running the ball out for a majority of second halves rather than in this last game, of course, on Thursday night, where they're throwing the entire time because they're trying to catch up from a 10-point deficit. Let's see here. Andrew Clark says, I can't wait for overseas games. 6 a.m. start. Yeah, that's going to be disastrous. I already don't sleep enough. Imagine I have to start at 6 a.m. now. Anthony O sends in a super chat. Says half PPR Superflex. Chase Brown, Jacoby Brissett, Brian Robinson Jr. Wow. Yeah, that... Oof. Jeez Louise. Usually the rule of thumb is I'm going to play the quarterback there. In this case, I'm going to continue as such. I'll play the quarterback there. I'll take Brissett. That's fine. All right, we had a super generous donation from Goblins. My goodness. Goblins, why don't you just go join the Patreon? I mean, geez Louise, right? That way, I mean, just go join the Patreon. Why? I mean, listen, I appreciate it, but hey, you can get way more content instead of just one question. Anyway, thank you. Let's see what you got here. I'm in a 12-team PPR double flex 6-point per passing touchdown league, $150 entry. Could you please grade my draft? Yeah, let's talk about this. Your quarterback is Rodgers. Oof. And Herbert. Okay. It's a double flex league, 6-point per passing touchdown. So you went with a pocket quarterback to, I guess, you're going to have a lot of trust in Rodgers. Herbert, I'm not so comfortable with. Rodgers, I could. Now that I even say it, it's tough. It's difficult. I could see him finding success in the passing game, but I don't know if he's going to be Rodgers of old. I don't know if he's coming out here and throwing 35 touchdowns this season. The way that this offense is structured, I don't know if there's enough receiving pieces around him to make him like one of those monster threats, but we'll see how it transpires. As for your other positions, considering you took a discount at quarterback, Rachaad White, Gibbs, obviously great plays. You also have the depth of Dowdle in case he pops off, and of course, Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is looking more and more like a running back by committee situation. We'll keep that, obviously monitored this upcoming weekend based on the amount of touches and snaps that him and Dobbins accrue. As for the follow-up here, we have Moore, Wilson, Palmer. Okay, so you have DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Josh Palmer, Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr., McBride is your tight end. So I'm assuming you went like Garrett Wilson into Gibbs, most likely into the net. Yeah, I would have just loved a better quarterback. Like, if in one of these rounds, because the way that you structured it in terms of Gibbs, Wilson, McBride, DJ Moore, in that fifth round, that fifth round, most likely, I'd have loved to have taken a better quarterback. That's really the only thing that's missing here. I'm going to hope that Rodgers can find success, but I mean, to be totally honest, with quarterbacks getting injured every year, there are going to be guys that go down, and you just got to hope that it's not yours, because then at that point, I think you'll be fine. Everything else is fine. The quarterback is the only thing that legitimately worries me. Thank you for the question, Goblins. C. Crip sends in a super chat. The following is as such. Rank these players in a full PPR. Kirk, Ridley, Connor. Kirk, Ridley, Connor. In a full PPR, it would be Kirk 1, Ridley 2, Connor 3. That exact order, the way you've kind of typed it out. Don't think I changed it any other way. If DeAndre Hopkins doesn't play, then I would play Ridley over Kirk, and that's the only potential audible that I would make in that circumstance. Rachaad White, Gibbs, Dowdle, Gus Edwards. Yeah, you're good with 3 of those backs. Moore, Wilson, Palmer, Dell, Worthy. You might be able to move. Look, I'm not saying you have to move Worthy, Goblins, but you may be able to move him after this week for a quarterback. Like, legitimately, you might be able to. Unless you want to start him in your flex every week, but you can. Eugene Leone sends in a question. Thank you, Eugene. Full PPR. Got offered Christian McCaffrey for Barkley. Thoughts? So here's my thought process. Let's see Christian McCaffrey play. Let's see him. I want to know what kind of a severity this calf injury actually is. And you'll also need to have Jordan Mason on roster. If you don't have Jordan Mason on roster, I would feel very uncomfortable doing so. So for right now, I'm going to say let's just see how this Monday night game looks. And if they are very similar value and that team still wants to trade Christian McCaffrey for Barkley, then we can take it. But until then, did they release a practice report as of earlier today? Because I know the 49ers are still practicing today because they play on Monday. Let me go check the practice report. Let me see what his status currently sits at. Do I not have a 49ers page here? All right, let's just look it up. Let's see. Is there anything new? Okay, they don't have anything updated for Saturday, so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I would just let it play out rather than just jump at it right now because it is it's still sketchy. But we would want, especially in a full PPR, we would want McCaffrey. David Luna sends in a super chat. Says drop Bucky Irving for Jordan Mason. Yeah, I would. I have no issue with that at all. Bruce Cowdrey sends in a super chat. Says Dell, JSN, or Yoshi Voss in a flex full PPR. I would play Dell there. The only way that I would ever consider Yoshi Voss in that circumstance is if, in fact, Jamar Chase is also out along with T. Higgins tomorrow. All right, let's see here. Easy E says, I need to decide between Malik Neighbors, Chris Godwin, and Tank Dell in a non-PPR. In a non-PPR, it's probably Neighbors or Dell, but probably Neighbors. Let's see here. We're scrolling down. Arthur Myers Show sends in a super chat. Thank you, Arthur. Appreciate it. Flex in a half PPR, James Conner, Amari Cooper, or Ridley? James Conner. Yeah, I think we already answered that one. No, it's a little bit different. So the only difference here is there's no Christian Kirk. So in a half PPR in this circumstance, Amari Cooper's number 1, James Conner's number 2, Ridley's number 3. In the half PPR format. Thank you. Appreciate it. Christian McCaffrey good to go. Did they get a full designation? If you get a full practice today, I'd make the trade now. Let's see here. 2 hours ago, injury report. Is there anything updated for the... Because I went to the official site for the 49ers, and I didn't see anything in terms of Saturday designation on practice. Maybe it's because, again, it's still early. It's 1 p.m. They're on the West Coast in comparison, but I don't see anything as of a full designation. If he gets a full designation, I'd make the trade right now, but I don't even need to see him play. If he gets a limited participation in practice today, it would scare me enough to where I'm like, maybe we want to be careful. Start Dobbins or Spears in a full PPR. Jeff, I would play Spears in a full PPR. Terry McLaurin or Chase in a quote-unquote limited role. I got to think about that. That's going to be the biggest decision tomorrow morning. Because I don't know what a quote-unquote limited role is, you know? Do I start Amari Cooper or Brandon Ayuk, says Ricky? I would probably play Brandon Ayuk. I want to play Brandon. No. I'd probably play Amari Cooper. Regardless of scoring format. Yeah, Cooper's just safer at this point. All right. We had a question that came in from Jay. Jay Elsom says, A.D. Mitchell or Deontay Johnson for the final flex spot. I'd play Deontay there. Thank you. Chase popped up on injury list with an illness today. Okay, well, that continues to trend him in the wrong direction. Which, if in fact he is not going to play tomorrow, now because of that as well, I mean, it makes it that much clearer that we're just avoiding him tomorrow morning. But again, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if anything changes. Michael Pittman Jr. or Stephon Diggs in my flex. I think I'm leaning more and more as the week progresses towards Stephon Diggs there. El Sway sends in a super chat, says Connor or Montgomery as my RB2. I would play Montgomery there. Kirk or JSN in the flex. I play Kirk there. Saints or Jets defense. Saints. Thank you, El Sway. Appreciate it. Darth Raider says Luke McCaffrey, a good pickup. He's wide receiver 2 on the depth chart. Yeah, he's a great pickup. We talked about Luke McCaffrey, I swear to God, for maybe 20 minutes straight yesterday on the live stream. We talked about Luke McCaffrey for so long. Yes, pick him up. What does it say? Would you accept Devontae Smith and Kincaid for Adams and Taysom Hill? So I get Smith and Kincaid, and all I have to do is give away Taysom Hill and Adams. Yeah, I would take the Kincaid and Smith side. Should I start Aaron Jones over Jerome Ford? Or Jerome Ford? Jeff, I would start Aaron Jones over Jerome Ford. Regardless of scoring format, I would. Mainly because of the Giants matchup and because the anticipation is that a full healthy Aaron Jones will get himself a pretty good workload within the offense. All right, after Darth Raider, we had Max Block, who says Amari Cooper, James Conner, Zamir White, Jerome Ford, full PPR, pick 3. In a full PPR, it's probably Cooper, Ford, and Conner in a full PPR format. Let's see here. Andres Baldwin says Pickens or Deontay Johnson full PPR. Daniels or Lawrence? Let me check my quarterback rankings. I tweeted with it last night a little bit at like 3 a.m. or this morning at 3 a.m. I have Daniels one spot ahead of Trevor Lawrence. He's my number 6 of the remaining quarterbacks compared to my number 7. So they're back-to-back in the rankings. I do have Jaden Daniels ahead of him, though, mainly because in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, I want a little bit more of that rushing upside potential. As for the Pickens and Deontay Johnson question, in a full PPR, I probably rather have Deontay. All right, let's see here. Xander O'Malley sends in a super chat. Thank you, Xander. Appreciate it. Says in a 10-team full PPR format, 4-point per passing touchdown, I have Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, Travis Kelce, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Ramondre Stevenson, Rome Odunze, Tua Tagovailoa, Cole Kmet. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's really quickly. It's a massive team. So what I want to do actually is just put it up on screen. All right, so this is the team, right? So what exactly are we looking at here? You have the best quarterback in the game. RB2 is Raheem Mostert, which is fine considering the discount. You take a discount at RB2, but you get Tyreek, Ayuk, Kelce, which is great. T. Higgins, again, when he's healthy, he's good, but the guy's going to miss like 4 games every year. That's a given. And already he's going to miss week 1, whatever. So it is. In a full PPR, with the remaining potential options you have here, probably Keenan Allen is your best bet in terms of flex this weekend. I would play Raheem Mostert most likely over Ramondre, but it is close in a full PPR. But yeah, as it currently stands, Fields, Tua, Allen, you don't need all 3. You got to drop one. You probably are better off going ahead and picking up somebody else and stashing it. I don't think you need to have 3 quarterbacks on roster. I get the thought process here. You want to see Fields have a pop-off game and then potentially try to sell him going down the line. I don't think you even need to risk that per se. I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't risk it. I would rather just have another player on my bench that could have himself a pop-off performance, especially when you have Hollywood. Like, throw Hollywood in your IR, get rid of one of these 2 quarterbacks, pick up somebody else that could have themselves a better week going forward. Like if somehow, some way in a 10-team league here, Xander, Dowdle's available, that's what I'd rather have on my bench. Thank you for the question. Okay, let's see here. Let me scroll back up. What does it say? Darth Vader says, damn, one day a missed video. I missed good information. Yeah, I mean, look, the entire conversation we had about Luke McCaffrey yesterday was just Cliff Kingsbury, the OC for the Commanders, when he was the head coach and the primary play caller of the Cardinals, he heavily utilized his slot wide receiver option. And if Luke McCaffrey is going to be that primary slot receiver role, he should be implemented pretty heavily within the offense and is in line for a lot of targets this season, which as a rookie wide receiver, we always try to find those rookie wide receivers that every year can be guys that immediately can be that week 1 or 2 waiver wire pop guy, but we want to pick them up before we have to hit the waivers. Let's see here. Virtua Tag says, have Christian McCaffrey, half-point PPR, bench stash, Ty Chandler or Jordan Mason. I'd rather have Jordan Mason. I'd rather protect my investment. Swift over 2 receptions. So he has to have 3. I think there are better bets. I was looking at Underdog plays. I think there are better bets. We can get over to the Underdog stuff in just a moment. Goblin says, what does Patreon offer? Just out of curiosity. So the best way for me to explain it, Goblins, in the description of the video, there is a link to Patreon. If you go over there, if you look at the primary tier, 2024 Fantasy Champion, all of it that is available to you and offered is listed there. So there's no it's black and white. It pretty much just tells you straight away what is available. So weekly rankings, all positions, Thursdays and Sundays, access to the private Discord server. You can ask me unlimited questions. We do every Tuesday going forward for waiver wire. We will be doing stuff for the Discord along with Saturday Q&As for the Discord. So all this kind of stuff, go check it out. If you're interested, fantastic, sign up. If not, no problem. Ayuk or Ridley? Probably Ayuk. Caleb Williams or Trevor Lawrence? I have Trevor Lawrence ahead of Caleb. Greetings from Germany, full PPR. Swift or Javonte Williams? Keenan Allen or Neighbors? I have Neighbors ahead of Keenan Allen. I have Swift ahead of Javonte. Jerome Ford or Calvin Ridley? I'd probably play Jerome Ford there. Aaron Jones or Zamir White in a full PPR? Miguel, I'd play Aaron Jones. Love is out 3 to 4 weeks. Is that a legitimate thing, or are we just making it up, Andrew Clark? Usually you're pretty accurate, but let's see here. What does it say? It says, according to Ian Rappaport, he's going to miss extended time. That is awful. That sucks, man. They looked good last night. So that just makes everybody on the Green Bay Packers like significantly less viable. Now, I'm going to hope that the Green Bay Packers do not start Malik Willis in the coming weeks and they go out and they trade for Joe Flacco. I think the Joe Flacco's on the Colts, if I'm not mistaken. Go trade for Joe Flacco. That's what they should do. If I'm the Green Bay Packers GM, that I am not losing the next 4 games because my franchise QB's out. I'm going to get Joe Flacco if I can. So according to Ian Rappaport, it says, my understanding is Jordan Love has between a grade 1 and grade 2 MCL sprain, which means he will miss a few weeks, but not extended time. Got it. Okay. So worst case scenario, guy misses, I don't know, 1 to 2 weeks. Schefter just reported it. Yeah, I mean, I was just reading on what Rappaport was putting out there. Report came out. He's out 3 to 6. Jeez Louise. Is it really that much worse than we thought? Let me go to Schefter's account now. Hold up. Adam Schefter. Let's see what Schefter has to say. Sideline him for 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So if you have Jordan Love on roster, it would be in your best interest to pick up another quarterback. So before the games happen this weekend, if you have Jordan Love on roster, please do yourself a favor and go pick up guys like Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith, something like that that is available on waivers. Therefore, you can utilize it in the coming weeks because you definitely will. That is super unfortunate. Alrighty. Getting back to the questions. Sorry we got sidetracked there because of the unfortunate news that, of course, will sideline Jordan. Dude, the fact that the guy, like, when I watched the replay last night, I saw it on Twitter again after the game. When he's getting rolled up on by the defensive lineman that's on the floor, you could see there's an actual legitimate pop in the knee. There's an actual, like, vibration to it that goes, bah, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was ACL off the rip. Thank God it's not, and it's just an MCL sprain, but 3 to 4 weeks is still brutal. Matt Bradbury says, can I run a trade by you? Yeah, just type it in the chat and I'll get to it right now. I'm looking for Felix Rodriguez's question. Says, thoughts on Reed? I mean, without Jordan Love, we're not in a good spot anymore, but after he returns, we should be better off. Jeez, man, this is horrible. That's really bad. I'm actually curious, what are the Packers' next couple games? Can they survive? So the next couple games for the Packers consist of the Colts. They will get their shit rocked by the Colts without a good quarterback. The Titans, they could survive. The Vikings, they will not survive. The Rams, they will not survive. So they'll probably go. There's a chance that the Packers, if they don't get another quarterback on roster, they're going to start 1-4. And I don't know what the record is all time in teams who start 1-4 who still make the NFL playoffs, but this is not a great way to do it. They better go out and they better trade for a quarterback right now, legitimately. Like that's the thing. Like if I'm the GM of an organization, how could I live with myself having my number 2 quarterback be Malik Willis? Like, wouldn't you want to spend up for a number 2 quarterback? Wouldn't you want to have Flacco, Gardner Minshew? I mean, shoot, Tyrod Taylor. I'll be honest, even guys like Carson Wentz I'm comfortable with. Sam Darnold's. Like, these are great backup QBs, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see how this transpires in the coming weeks. Okay. But yeah, in regards to your question, Felix, if you have another one, because now that this, Jaden Reed information or the Jordan Love information came out, you let me know. Frank sends in a super chat. Says, Aaron Rodgers or Daniel Jones? That's easy for me. I'm playing Aaron Rodgers. Amari Cooper or Brandon Ayuk? Probably going to be Amari Cooper. Yeah. Luca says, is Goff a solid choice as QB1? I would say that over the course of the season, he is not going to put up a high volume of incredible performances. He's just going to be consistent. He's going to give you 16 points a week. If you can live with it, then you go with that. But he doesn't have significantly higher upside every week. Man, this Jordan Love news just pissed me off. Like, I'm legitimately, that's awful, man. That really does suck. Tyree sends in a super chat. Thank you, Tyree. Says in a full PPR, I have Brian Robinson Jr. starting very well, and Eckler, Jameson. You put Jameson Robinson. Is it Jameson Williams or is it who is that bench player that you're referring to, Tyree? Because as it currently stands, I don't. Okay, so between what the names that I could kind of tell, Brian Robinson Jr. and Eckler, between the two of them, I'd rather play Eckler in a full PPR. But who is Jameson Robinson? Is that who's the only other Robinson that I can think of? Am I losing my mind? Brian Robinson, Bijan Robinson, Demarcus Robinson, Wandale Robinson, James Robinson, Allen Robinson. I mean, what other Robinsons are there? So, yeah, if it auto-corrected and it's just between Brian Robinson Jr. and Eckler, I'd play Eckler in a flex, full PPR. Thank you for the question. Eduardo sends in a super chat. Thank you, Eduardo. Says, trade/flex help. Half PPR, 12-team league. I have AR-15 as my quarterback. I have Achane, Cooks, JJ, Jay Reed, Laporta, Ford, Swift. Bench is Palmer, Corum, Irving, J.K. Dobbins, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Downs, flex. Who do I put in there? Drop who when Downs is back. Okay, we'll get to the overall Downs conversation once we get there, because I think once Josh Downs is available to return, I think you'll get a better understanding as to who needs to be dropped based on their poor performances to begin the season. I can't objectively tell you right now who's going to be the automatic drop once we get there. But as of right now, Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Achane and Cooks as your running backs, JJ and Jayden Reed as your wide receivers. Good to go, Laporta. So as for your flex this week between Ford, Swift, Palmer, Corum. Wait, do you have a double flex? Eduardo, can you answer that for me? Do you have a double flex in your league? Eduardo in the chat says, yeah, or Hurts. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I'm going to wait on that. So I'm looking for a response from Tyree and Eduardo in regards to Eduardo, are you in a double flex league? Tyree, what the Williams? Jameson Williams. Got it. Thank you. I'd still play Eckler there. Eckler's the best of the three there, Tyree. Thank you. Amari Cooper or Terry McLaurin? Amari Cooper, Matt Bradbury. Jake Bush says, I know it's bad. PPR, Shakir, Singletary, Samuel, flex, full PPR. I play Singletary there, Jake. Pickle Rick says, what's the situation with Jamar Chase? From based on what everyone is saying, he popped up on the injury report with an illness. That probably lends to him most likely his limitation tomorrow is going to be even more limited. Just putting that into perspective. He's probably going to be very much so when they get down in the red zone, maybe they utilize him. Maybe they use him like I don't know. Like, let's say they have a drive of 10 plays. Maybe he plays 3 of them. Like, I don't know. Like, it's tough to say. I'm not the coach, but I would assume if he's going to be legitimately limited, it's not going to look great. Okay, Eduardo says double flex. Got it. Okay, so Eduardo, to finalize the roster, there's no changes I would make. In a half PPR, you have it perfectly set with Ford and Swift as your double flexes. You're good to go. As for who you would drop when Josh Downs returns, honestly, you probably drop Josh Downs if everybody else pans out correctly. Otherwise, it's going to be Bucky Irving. Easy E sends in a super chat. Says, grade my team in a super flex, non-PPR quarterback. We have Murray. We have Daniels. We have wide receivers at CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, Neighbors, Godwin. Wow, okay. Dell, BTJ. Jacobs and Walker are my running backs with Corum and Brooks. Kincaid and Likely are my tight ends. Defense is Cleveland. Kicker is Bass. In a Superflex format, you're really set up. Like, this is one of the better teams that I've seen in a while for a Superflex. I don't know how many teams are in your league, but you still get 2 top 12 quarterbacks. You get ridiculous value at wide receiver. Even with the discount at running back, you still have Jacobs and Walker. And you have Kincaid and Likely, which you can't start them both. And you might have to trade Likely after this week because someone's going to come knocking, specifically the Mark Andrews manager. You're in a really good spot there. That is a really good-looking team. Felix Rodriguez says, do I not start Reed? ? I have Ayuk and Keenan Allen. Do I not start Reed? I'm so confused. Reed is already played. He played last night. You mean going forward? Without Jordan Love, I probably am not playing him unless they get another quarterback in there that I feel more confident around. To the Max sends in a super chat. Thank you to the Max. 18 PPR. Should I drop backup quarterback / tight end? My running backs are Gibbs, Bijan, Achane, Brian Robinson Jr. My wide receivers are, on waivers are Moss, Chuba Hubbard, Spears, Chase Brown, Dowdle, McLaughlin, Algier. Yeah, if I was you, I'd pick up Moss or Dowdle. Yeah, probably both. Maybe even Moss or Chase Brown, just so you can confirm that you have the starting running back of the Cincinnati Bengals going forward. It's probably the best play, to be honest. Okay, scrolling back up. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Let me go ahead and refresh this, make sure we're on the same page. I'm still catching up. We took care of that. Okay. To the Max. Okay, Al Capone sends in a question. It says, in a 12-team full PPR league, pick 2, Zamir White, Jerome Ford, DK Metcalf. PPR, pick 2. It's Ford and Metcalf between the bunch. Thank you, Al Capone. Appreciate it. Okay, really quickly. I want to thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. Again, we're just answering questions for the next hour, 15 minutes. If you have a question, please be sure to type it in the live chat. I'll try to get to as quickly as I can. Include your scoring format as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. Additionally, I will be back here tomorrow morning, starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The stream will be 3 hours long from 7 to 10 a.m. I will have updated rankings on screen behind me for all primary positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, kicker, defense, tight end, all of it. So if you guys want to go ahead and swing on by tomorrow morning, you can. That can give you the final answer. Specifically, on Jamar Chase, he's going to be ranked on screen next to other players, and you will know immediately by looking at it, okay, I know this is where Andrew values him going into today's games, etc. It'll be the kind of final word and final say from me. If you guys want to go ahead and not swing by on a 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning because you might want to go partying tonight or do something you're going to be up late, be sure to go ahead. You can either check out Underdog Fantasy at this current moment in time. If you sign up using code Andrew, make a first-time deposit minimum of $10. Not only are you going to be able to get the first-time deposit offer, which is plays like this, where you can take advantage of the free plays of the week for pick'ems and all this kind of jazz, but you'll get my rankings every single Sunday morning sent from my email directly to yours. So it'll be from my email directly to the email that is associated with your Underdog account. All you have to do is, again, sign up using code Andrew and make a first-time deposit minimum of $10. That's it. And you'll get it every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season, weeks 1 through 18. Even if you don't play in week 18, doesn't matter. It's going to be sent anyway. So if you're interested, check that out. If you're not eligible, because again, there is an eligibility factor to it in regards to you have to be able to play within this map. If you can't and you're not eligible, or you've used a code in the past for my channel or somebody else's channel, you could also check out Patreon. All of that information down in the description. All of that I just mentioned is offered, and even much more. Thank you. How does Jordan Love affect Josh Jacobs? I mean, his absence is definitely going to lead to the offense being less of a likely scoring option on a weekly basis if they don't have a better potential quarterback option there. So that's how Jordan Love's absence potentially affects him. Give me a second here. I need to fix something. One moment. I need to mute that. Perfect. Okay. I think we're good to go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So, live streaming tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. That's correct, Andrew Clark. You know the deal. You've been here for a while, Andrew. There's no way. What are we talking about? Get some sleep. No, there's no time for sleep. There's only time for fantasy football. You guys understand all day. Okay, so I'm going to stream tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and then I'm going to stream after tomorrow night's game. Streams, I'm going to try to stream every day for the remainder of the season. Let's just put it that way. That's what I'm going to try to do. We'll see if it happens. There may be a couple days here and there that I'm off, but streams should be more of a consistent option. Anyway, let's get back to answering questions. I've been talking too long. Let's see here. Chase in the chat says, greetings. Wide receiver 2, Ridley, Shakir, Palmer. Between those three options, it would be Ridley number 1, Palmer number 2, Shakir number 3. Moving on to Rock WP, who says, Devin Singletary or Zamir White in a full PPR, or Brian Thomas Jr. Between those three options is probably Devin Singletary in my mind. Let's see here. Chenzo says, start 2, DK, Chase, or Diggs. Again, Chase is moving to the wrong direction. It'd probably be Diggs and DK Metcalf. Robert says, Andrew, I've been watching since 2020. Been here ever since. Thank you very much, Robert. I greatly appreciate the support. Eduardo says, y'all picking up likely if you don't need him to trade him? Yeah, you should. Listen, it is a really good idea that if, in fact, you have an opportunity, let's say you don't play in a Fab league, right? Because in Fab, you're going to have to spend a lot to get Isaiah Likely because that Mark Andrews manager is going to lose their mind. So if you're in a league in which you have a continual rolling list and you have a higher priority, assuming there's nobody else that's significantly better, which I guarantee you there's going to be, just give it, let's say, 24 to 48 hours, there's going to be potential options that may be better than Isaiah Likely after week 1. Injuries, breakouts, etc. That being said, picking up Likely and using your high overall waiver wire priority is super valuable because you can flip him in a trade or you can utilize him. Either of the two, but flipping him in a trade is probably going to really benefit. All right, scrolling down. Odunze or Njoku in the flex? I'd probably play Odunze there. Let's see here. Eduardo, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Michael McKenna says, full PPR, start 2. Godwin. Whoop, where did it go? Where the heck did Michael McKenna's question go? My chat updated and it broke. Hold up. Control F. Mike McKenna. Got it. Godwin or Diggs. Okay. So full PPR, start one of each. Godwin or Diggs. I'll take Godwin. Jones or Ford. I'll take Jones. Yeah, those are pretty straight across questions. Nothing crazy there. Okay, so we took care of those questions. Scrolling down all the way back to the live chat. Need to catch up on some of these super chats that were sent in, so let me go ahead and answer them. We had a super chat question coming from Anthony Barrett. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. So Javonte Williams or Josh Palmer in a full PPR flex? That's a really good question. Full PPR... Control F, Palmer. Palmer. And then where do I have? Who's it? Who's the other option? Javonte. Yeah, it's probably Javonte Williams. More touchdown upside potentially there. Moving on to the next question. We had one from Anthony Wirtz, who says, full PPR, pick 2, Sutton, Rico Dowdle, DeAndre Hopkins. If I'm picking 2 for the flex, I'm playing both the receivers there. If DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, I'll play Sutton with Hopkins. If Hopkins does not play, then your decision is made for you, and you play Sutton with Rico. Kevin Smith sends in a super chat. Kevin, hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Says, sup, grade my team in a full PPR. We have Goff, Kamara, St. Brown, Adams, Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mostert, Montgomery, Zamir White. Listen, for your running backs and wide receivers, you are so stacked that you don't even need a bench that consists of running backs or wide receivers. But we'll take the advantage of having a Dunze and Jalen Wright on the bench. Dude, if I was you, Kevin Smith, I don't see a tight end here. I don't even know if your league has a tight end, but if it doesn't have a tight end, don't worry about it. But otherwise, I'm looking to upgrade at quarterback. Specifically, I don't know if I want to live with Goff every week when I have St. Brown, Adams, Olave, and Harrison Jr. on my team. I'd rather trade one of them and get a better quarterback every week. Moving on to Michael Tamayo's question, who says, full PPR, if Chase sits, Yoshivas or Ayuk? Additionally, also, okay. First and foremost, if Chase sits, I'll still play Ayuk over Yoshivas. Moving on from that question, because Yoshivas is going to play in the slot, he's not going to pull outside coverage. The outside receivers will most likely be Jermaine Burton and Trent Irwin. So it's not like he's going to be seeing Christian Gonzalez on the outside or Jack Jones or any of that nature. He's going to be sitting in the slot. He'll be okay. But he still will have pretty tough coverage against their nickel corner. As it currently stands, I would probably still play Ayuk there. As for your follow-up question, Freiermuth or Gesicki, assuming that, of course, Chase is out, I'd still play Freiermuth there. Final question, Najee Harris, Chase Brown, or Chuba Hubbard? I'm playing Chuba Hubbard there. Thank you for the question, Michael. Okay. Scrolling back down to the live chat. What about Reed and Love injury? It's not good. Again, listen. Unless the Green Bay Packers go out and sign a new quarterback and bring him in and start him in 2 weeks, the value of all these receivers are significantly lowered. When Malik Willis went into the game last night, guys, you saw it. They posted his career stats. I don't think he has a single passing touchdown in his career. So we're not working with much with Malik Willis as the starting quarterback. It's not a great look. So until Love returns, all of these options, excluding Josh Jacobs, because Josh Jacobs will still have value, every other option on that team is going to be significantly less viable. We're not going to be able to start them consistently. So we're going to be in a little bit of trouble until then. Are you low on Zamir White this year? No, I'm not. I feel like, here, look, let me I want to show you guys what I did on Underdog last night. Maybe it's irresponsible. Maybe it is responsible. Time will tell as to whether or not it is responsible. Via Underdog, if I go to my live pick'ems, right? So last night I put together another pick'em. Okay, so these are my two favorites of the week right now so far, okay? This is what I have currently. I have Jaleel McLaughlin going higher than 1.5 receptions. I don't understand why that number is even there. Last season, this team targeted their running backs 9 times per game on average, most amongst all teams in the league. It's a Sean Payton / Joe Lombardi offense. Joe Lombardi, former offensive coordinator of the Chargers when Austin Eckler broke the record for second most, receptions by a running back in NFL history in a single season. Of course, we have seen the days of Alvin Kamara, Darren Sproles, Pierre Thomas, Reggie Bush with, of course, Sean Payton. Jaleel McLaughlin without Samaje Perine there is going to get himself 2 receptions. Hunter Henry, I think people are sleeping on the idea that he's going to be potentially the number 1 receiving option there. And then I got Zamir White going higher on his rushing yards. Yesterday in a press conference, Antonio Pierce specifically came out and said that he wants to give Zamir White 15, 20, if not 25 touches per game. Thank you very much. I think that pretty much answers the question as to whether or not he could surpass 56.5 rushing yards. And in my other play of the week, McCaffrey anytime touchdown, Garrett Wilson going higher on his receptions, and CJ Stroud going higher on his passing touchdowns. This one is a little bit of an irresponsible bet of $1,000. This one's 100. It's more of a humble bet, but we're figuring it out. But 100 for 462 is pretty crazy with this one. We'll take it. But if you guys have any potential, let's see here. There's a lot of college plays. I don't know how many of you actually consistently watch college football. Me personally, don't have time for it. Legitimately, I'd rather just focus on everything NFL wise because it is the NFL season. But if you've got any plays in mind for this weekend, you can definitely take advantage of them. My vulture protection last night was pretty good. I don't know if you guys realize this exists as it currently stands. So for week 1, if you start any running back this week for an anytime touchdown, any running back, and they get their touchdown stolen by another player that runs in a touchdown. So yesterday, in the case of Josh Jacobs, who I had, obviously, Jaden Reed stole a rushing touchdown. So because of that, I was protected. My bets were pretty much rescued. I got my money back, and I got this free play for Sunday night. So if you want to take advantage of it, great. Otherwise, the free play for Sunday night is also, or for Sunday, is Dak Prescott 0.5 total yards, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go find that real quick. Yeah, it is. It's Dak Prescott. So yeah, take advantage of it. We'll go ahead and put together a pick'em slip in just a moment, but those were my favorite plays of the week going as of right now. But no, I don't think I'm low on Zamir White. I think he's going to probably have himself a solid game. The touchdown is the biggest difference maker. Okay, let's see here. Is Gesicki a sneaky play? I think he's a sneaky play, but again, do I like him over any of my top 12 ranked tight ends? No, not really. Do I start Burrow if Chase and T. Higgins are out? I have Jaden Daniels. No, I have Jaden Daniels ahead of Burrow right now, even if Chase plays. Thoughts on Marvin? First game tomorrow? Yeah, Bradley. Marvin Harrison Jr. hopefully is going to get a lot of targets. It's going to be a difficult matchup. Let's just say that to say the very least. Rasul Douglas is a really good cornerback. Honestly, their entire secondary. I know that they got rid of Poyer and Micah Hyde, their safeties from the last 5+ years, but their cornerbacks are really good there in Buffalo, and their defense has always been good every year. 845 Live says Zach Moss or Jerome Ford in a full PPR. I'd prefer to play Ford there. All right. Anadi says, you feel good about the Eagles offense, Andrew? The Eagles offense looked great. The only issue was they turned over the ball 3 times. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. If he doesn't turn over the ball in those scenarios, we could leave this, scoring drives. Devontae Smith, I think, looked great. Obviously, I would have loved him to find the end zone, but, when you get down in the red zone and you have guys like, Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, it's going to be less of an option. Always, A.J. Brown doing what he does. That's not a surprise. Goddard not showing up wasn't a surprise either. Again, it's difficult to survive in that offense. Anonymous sends in a super chat. Thank you. Says half PPR. Ferguson is my tight end. Do I stash Leggett or Hunter Henry? I think it's probably... I think Leggett is a better stash, honestly, because you're going to utilize Ferguson remainder of the season. Emerald Eye says, what's the update on Jordan Love? Yeah, it's no good. It's not good. It's 3 to 4 weeks potentially out, if not more, if there's a setback. As an Andrews manager, should I be picking up Likely? I'll have that answer by Monday. Monday, I'm going to have a waiver wire video. Likely will be implemented in there. So yeah, we'll get there when we get there. For right now, I want to say yes, but I'll have a better explanation as to why and a full extension of the reasons to why you should go about that. Felix Rodriguez says, rate my team. I have Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Brown as an A.J. Brown, Waddle, McBride, Reed, Swift, Eckler, Pollard, Keenan Allen, Hollywood Brown, and Ayuk. Pretty good looking team. Ayuk will fill in the next couple weeks, which would be great. But until then, Brown, Waddle, Reed, McBride, Achane, Christian McCaffrey, Swift is your flex this weekend, which I think is the correct decision. Dak Prescott's your quarterback. Yeah, he has a difficult matchup this week, but going forward, considering I do anticipate the Dallas Cowboys defense to be a lesser version of themselves in comparison to last year, we will most likely see a lot more negative game scripts or games in which they're probably throwing a lot, especially considering their running backs aren't very talented this season, unless Dowdle wants to be the next coming of Tony Pollard, which we'll have to wait and see as to whether or not that transpires. But otherwise, a really good-looking team there, Felix. SL Hazard says, I'm not the Andrews manager, and I'm picking up Likely. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's going to be chopping at the bit to try to get a tight end of that caliber. I told you guys, every season, there's always a tight end. There's 4 on average over the course of the last 5 years. On a per season average, there's about 3 to 4 tight ends every year that have never been a tight end one, so never ranked within the top 12 at the end of the season, that get into the conversation every year. And it could very easily this season be Isaiah Likely. I mean, it's likely getting to that position. All right, enough with the puns. Moving on. Some guy named M says, 8-man league, Superflex PPR. I have Allen, Jacobs, Saquon, A.J. Brown, Evans, Pitts, Kyren, Gibbs, Ayuk, Jordan Love. My bench consists of Caleb Williams, David Montgomery, Ford, Adunze, Amari Pickens. What trades to improve? Listen, I'm going to be totally honest. You cannot. I mean, look, if you want to go and trade, you can, but there's no reason to. Like, okay, some guy named M. If you go trade Jacobs and Montgomery and go get another running back, that's an upgrade, do it. But ultimately, you're playing an 8-team league. Your team is an all-star team out the gate. Really, there is no way to, like, in comparison to everybody else's teams that are in this live chat, you've probably got the best team. Because there are just that many few teams in your league competing for picks within the draft. So you have Jacobs, Saquon, Kyren, Gibbs. You have 4 of my top 12 running backs. You don't need to improve there. You have A.J. Brown, Evans, Ayuk. 3 of my top 15 wide receivers. You have Pitts. You have Josh Allen. You have Jordan Love. I mean, Jordan Love, who's going to be replaced by Caleb Williams, which is another top 15 quarterback I have. Really, unless you want a specific player, there's no way to improve this, man. You can trade like 2-for-1s and try to go and make moves, but you don't need to. You've got a stud team across the board. TBR07 in the chat says, Jaden Daniels or Burrow. I'd rather play Jaden Daniels this week. With T. Higgins doubtful, Brian Thomas Jr. or Joshua Palmer. Brendan Miles. I'm going to probably lean towards playing Josh Palmer this weekend. Jackson Cecil says, hey, Andrew, any general advice in regards to fab waivers? I'll probably include that in my Monday video. It's going to be very difficult because I think the fab conversation is very dependent on how, like, you guys know your league mates more than I do. You know that there are some people that just do not value fab high enough or as much as they truly should and are going to unload the clip on unnecessary players at times. So being able to budget out your moves and then still also know when to go after a specific player will be determined based on, like, really truly how valuable that player is. So once we get to Monday, I'll probably have fab suggestions along with those players, and then we'll be good to go. But again, a lot of it is going to be depending on, like, do you know your league mates well enough to know who is really going to spend up for players? Hank Hennig sends in a super chat. Thank you, Hank. Appreciate it. Hank says the following question. Have Love, full PPR, pick up Geno, Stafford, or Fields. Okay, let me look at the upcoming schedules here. So the Rams in the next couple weeks have the Cardinals, then the 49ers, which I don't love the 49ers matchup. Then they have the Bears, and then the Packers. Very well. Let's look at the Seahawks. I'll take Geno. Yeah, I'll take Geno. They have the Broncos this week. Then the following weeks they have Patriots. But the ones that I'm really keen, so I almost want to have both Stafford and Geno. But if I had to pick one, I'll take Geno because they play the Dolphins September 22nd, week 3, and then they play the Lions in week 4. If you guys remember the last 2 times that the Seattle Seahawks have taken on the Lions, it's 40 to 45 kind of games, shootouts. And both times the Seattle Seahawks have beaten them, which is crazy. They have their number. And yeah, that would probably be where I'm going in the direction of probably Geno. I'd love to have Stafford for next week against the Cardinals, but ultimately, if you can only have one, I'll take Geno for the long-term better matchups. Josie sends in a question. Thank you, Josie. Pick one in a full PPR, Yoshi Voss or Brian Thomas Jr. If Chase is out, I'll take Yoshi. If he's not, I'll take Brian Thomas. Let's see here. Moving on. Geno or Burrow? I'll take Geno this week. Braden says, if Jamar Chase does not start tomorrow, should I pick up Matthew Stafford and start him over Joe Burrow in a 4-point? Yes, I would. Jet says, would you go as far as playing a guy like Singletary over Chase if worried about this limit? Yeah, I would go as far as that. I don't have an issue with that. Again, the whole question is pretty much like, can you live with yourself if Jamar Chase plays and goes for 15 points? Can you live with yourself? If you can, ultimately, then you're good to go. Otherwise, if you're like, it would make me sick to my stomach, it's against my religion to do it, then don't worry about it. Play Jamar Chase and you go. But for me, yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Because again, if he's going to be a legitimate limited option and he's also dealing with an illness and he hasn't practiced at a full rate for the last month, everything is stacking against him, right? Which obviously we don't like. DJ sends in a super chat. Thank you very much, DJ. Says half PPR, 12 team, Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Malik Nabers, Terry McLaurin, Jake Ferguson, Chris Godwin, Romeo Dobbs. My bench consists of Dowdle, Chase Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Joshua Palmer, Dontavion Wicks. Should I trade anyone away on my team, or is my team okay? Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, really good there. Nabers is great, along with Terry McLaurin and Chris Godwin. Dowdle's a pretty solid bench option, so is Chase Brown. Hopefully both of them pop off for you. So is Brian Thomas Jr., Palmer. I mean, look, in terms of making a trade, really, I don't think you're in a position to make a trade. You don't have much wide receiver depth anyway. You don't want to move any of those pieces unless you're making an upgrade. If I was in your position, DJ, I'm probably looking to see if you can have one of these bench options have an explosive week and then maybe try to ship them for a player that doesn't play as well. In the coming weeks, and we'll talk about this on Monday's video, or maybe even another, I might post 2 videos on Monday. I don't know. We'll see. Trade targets in the early weeks are the way that you take advantage of your league mates. People are going to overreact instantly after week 1. Understand that the fantasy football season is a marathon. It's 18 weeks, 17 weeks for majority of us. Do not panic after 1 week. It is the worst decision to make every year. But people are going to do it because obviously they're not as responsible with their teams as they should be. And we're going to take advantage of those people to the best of our abilities by forcing them to make trades that are horrible. And yes, we don't feel bad. Moving on. We had a question from Josh1981 more who says, Chase or Nabers? I'll play Nabers this week. Hit with Barkley, so Nabers, yeah. Let's see here. Scrolling down the lists, we have Rexton who says, full PPR, pick 2. Drake, London, Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., Chase Brown. Yeah, Rexton, for sure, you're going to play Drake, London, and Harrison Jr. You're good to go there. Lear says, Olave or Metcalf in a half PPR. I feel comfortable playing Olave there. I'm concerned that Metcalf will be shadowed by Surtain. He will be, yeah, he's going to be shadowed by Surtain, but he's a talented enough receiver to be able to overcome that. Regardless of that fact, I'm still playing Olave. Let's see here. What are all these scissors? Yo, don't know if you see this. I see it. Been watching since 2021, says Jay Newton. Thank you for all the help. Points for long plays and runs. Pick one, Kyler Murray or Goff. I feel way more comfortable playing Kyler Murray there. Thank you. Victor in the chat, Victor Carlson says, hi, Andrew. I got Josh Allen, Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, James Cook, Hill, Harrison, London, Andrews, Ingram, full PPR. What 2 running backs do I start? And should I pick up Likely? Yes, you should pick up Likely. Even if you pick him up to trade him, you should. Ingram can be your starter for the remainder season, or you can even trade Ingram. We'll have to wait and see how that transpires. But for now, yeah, I think you should. As for your question as to who to start at running back, it's a full PPR scoring format. Considering the format, I probably end up playing both Rachaad White and Kamara because of that receiving upside. If I was in your position, considering you have Hill, Harrison, and London, you're going to play all those receivers, one of them in the flex. It's Rachaad White and Kamara there in a full PPR. Thank you for the question, though. Captain Cub sends in a super chat. Thank you, Captain. Says, can you answer my 10-team Superflex chat question? Absolutely. Let me go ahead and let me see where it's at. Let's go Control F here. Control F. Captain Cub. All right, 10-team Superflex format, 4-point per passing touchdown league, full PPR. Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Will Levis. Good to go there. Achane, White, Stevenson, Brian Robinson, Spears, Corum. Followed up by wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Palmer. Any drops for quarterback? Fields, yes, I would drop Levis and I would pick up Fields, but considering, actually, let me think about this. Considering there's a chance that Fields could play terribly, and then it leads to Russell Wilson just coming back and starting, you don't want to lose Levis because Levis is not going to be replaced no matter what happens this season. So maybe you just keep it as is. But if it was me, considering it's a 10-team league, I'd probably make the swap. It is safer to keep it as such, but if Fields does not interrupt the bye weeks for Hurts and Tua, I would make the swap because I want to risk it for the biscuit there. Otherwise, pretty strong looking team across the board there, Captain Cub. In terms of potential moves that you can make, I think it's going to be dependent on whether or not McLaurin has himself a pretty good week here. If he does, maybe he's a potential moving option to a team that may feel confident, trying to pick him up from you, considering he's your wide receiver 4. All right, Flotation Swag sends in a super chat. Thank you, Flotation. Sends in the following. Trade Dak Prescott and Tyler Lockett for Hollywood Brown and Mixon. For Love, Hollywood Brown and Mixon. Yes. Yeah, I would. Flotation. As long as you have another quarterback on roster, I would. Josh says, Christian McCaffrey questionable now. Niners are just playing games with the injury designation. This is the thing. The injury designation isn't really games being played. The teams are legally bound to designate the proper settings designation. If they don't, they get fined and they can lose draft picks. So if Christian McCaffrey practiced fully and it said that he didn't, they can get fined for that. If a player is injured and it's not on the waiver report or the injury report, I saw it a couple years ago with the Detroit Lions. They got like a $50,000 fine and they lost draft compensation, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if they're playing games with us. All I know is that Christian McCaffrey is going to start on Monday night. Don't even sweat it. He even said it yesterday in a press conference. He said, I'm playing Monday. So I don't think we have to worry. Matthews, I would say Mark Andrews over likely, says Swaggy P. I hope you're right. Listen, I said it yesterday during the live stream. We have seen in the past two tight ends on the same team be top 12 options before. We've seen it. It was the Philadelphia Eagles with Goddard and Zach Ertz. The only thing is, in order to be able to support 2 top-tier tight ends, you need to target your tight ends more than anybody else in the league. They started off fire in week 1. 14 targets is great. So let's see here. If they continue that, 14 times 17, 238. If they continue the pace of targeting their tight ends 14 times a game, and we get more of a balanced look of 7-7 for Andrews and Likely going forward, and they can both be relevant top 12 options, beautiful. But if they don't continue to target their tight ends at this high of a capacity, this high of a clip, it is going to hurt one of them, if not both of them. Moving on to Stephen Drake's question, who says, one more, man. We have a full PPR, Ford or Mostert. In a full PPR, I have Ford ahead of Mostert. Thank you. Josh in the chat says, nah, I ain't playing. He said he was 100% for week 1. Niners are playing games with the Jets. Yeah, they might be. But again, I would like to hope that they're not. And they're just properly designating their players. But this is the thing, even if, for example, let's just put it out there. Let's say, for example, you think that the 49ers are playing games with the Jets. The Jets are not preparing any differently. The scheme doesn't change because Christian McCaffrey's not there. They're still going to run their outside zone. It's all about, can you get off of the blocks? Can you stop, Trent Williams from getting to your linebackers and assaulting your defensive linemen? So I don't think it'll change there that much. First time watcher says heavy. Palmer, Jameson, or Bengals slot receiver. If Chase doesn't play tomorrow, it's probably Andre Yosivas, their slot receiving option. If Chase does play, it makes me a little bit less, confident. At that point, I would just probably pivot to just most likely playing someone like Josh Palmer. They're heavy. Deontay Johnson or Palmer? I'd rather play Deontay Johnson there. Whoever's question that was, I didn't see. I scrolled past it. Jaden Daniels or Burrow? We'll take Jaden Daniels there. Are you scared about playing Ayuk this week? I think I'm going to have him in my top 24 by tomorrow morning. Tua or Daniel Jones in a 4-point this week? I play Tua. Do not play Daniel Jones, guys, please. Do yourself a favor. Let's not get too much stressed out this week. Because watching Daniel Jones play football is just, I'd rather lose than watch him play. I'm going to be honest. Moving on, we had a question from a hot dog guy who says, if Higgins is out, which he will be, flex Spears, Dowdle, or Mike Williams. Mike Williams, based on what I heard via reports, is going to be on a snap count. So between the available options you have, I believe that the flex options should be going to Spears. As for your follow-up question, hot dog guy, it says Worthy and Brooks are on my bench, but not startable. Half PPR, 12-team league free agents are Yoshivas and AD Mitchell. If it's a half PPR, I'm fine playing Spears there. In your position, if you could pick up Yoshivas and play him in the flex in the absence of Chase tomorrow morning, it probably would be the best position to put yourself in. Steel Will 456 sends in a super chat, says, in a full PPR, Pollard or Warren? I believe I have, let me check. I have Pollard ahead of Warren. Thank you for the question. Caleb Williams or Trevor Lawrence this week? Ramiro, I have Trevor Lawrence ranked higher. Anthony Barrett sends in this is not even Anthony Barrett. This is Anthony B. Sorry, Anthony Barrett was earlier. Anthony B sends in a super chat. Thank you, Anthony. Says, should I drop Christian Watson and put $25 of fab out of my 100? Unlikely. I have Andrews. You might need more to put. I'm going to be totally honest. You might need more. But yes, the answer is yes. C-Crip said, but again, by the time I get to Monday, on my Monday waiver wire video, so what I do every Monday, for those of you who are new to the channel, we talk about every position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, defense, pickups for week 2 on Monday. In that video, I will include potential suggestions in regards to fab in terms of percentages. So like, hey, you should use 10% of your fab. So like, regardless of whether your fab is 200, 100, 500, you'll have an understanding as to like what 10% is of that total. Okay, cool. Thank you. What are the highest? Sorry. Let me reread this. Apologies. Rexton says, let's hit 200 likes. I agree. Thank you, Rexton. Jordan says, what are some of the highest projected scoring games this week? Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier this week, but I'll go ahead and go over it again. So last night's game was implemented, or not implemented. I don't know why I can't find the word. My vocabulary is cooked. The implication was that we were most likely getting a high scoring game based on the overall numbers of total points. So if we look at total points again and figure out what the implied higher scoring games are going to be: Jacksonville against Miami, 49.5. Houston versus Indianapolis, 48.5. And then we have Rams versus Lions, 52. Which that number went up a whole point as the week has progressed. Otherwise, every other game is like 43, 42, 40, 41, 41, 41, 42, 44. Nothing else is even close. There's also Buffalo and Arizona, which would be like the 4th highest remaining game, which is at 47 flat. So those are the highest scoring projected games based on Vegas as it currently stands. So again, we want to probably start those guys because it's going to be a shootout. Vegas knows more than everybody. Jonathan Lee sends in a super chat, says, how do we watch NFL games this weekend? Suggestions? Yeah, YouTube TV or YouTube Sunday Ticket. That's probably the way you do it. Yeah, that's how I do it. I pay a pretty penny for it too. YouTube Sunday Ticket. Hashtag ad. No, there's no ad. I would love that though. That would be incredible. But YouTube, they barely want to suggest my videos via the algorithm, much less give me a sponsorship. Thank you. Flotation Swag says, missed my super chat. I answered it, but I'll go back to it right now. So you asked the question. I said yes, I would make the trade as long as you have another quarterback to replace Love with for the time being. All right, going down the list after Jonathan Lee, we have We have a question from Mo. Mo, thank you very much. Says choose 2 for week 1. Gibbs, Montgomery, Pickens. Give me Gibbs and Montgomery. 100%. I do not want. Listen, if you guys have Gibbs and Montgomery, they should start every single week for the remainder of the year. Very seldom should they not both start because, again, this team is a run-first attack. Both of them are going to have opportunities at touchdowns, and they will steal from one another. So we most likely are in the best position to probably be in a spot to where we should be looking to start them both, just to be safe. And, of course, they both can score 15 points, and it wouldn't, really surprise. Let's see. Trevor Lim says, yo, I was the guy that DM'd you on IG asking about a trade, which got me Saquon. You said to do it. Thanks very much. No problem. I'm going to be totally honest, Trevor. The amount of DMs I answer on Twitter or Instagram are so much that I don't even remember answering that question. I'm going to be totally honest. But I'm glad I was able to help in that moment. Let's see here. Is Jamar playing? We don't know. We'll see by tomorrow morning. Let's see here. Fields or Goff? I'd probably still play Goff just to be safe. Higher scoring potential upside game. Rogo says stream sites. Hey, no. No illegal stuff going on here, guys. None of the illegal stuff. You do that somewhere else, all right? Implied? Yes. Implication. Thank you, Swaggy P. T. Higgins out or in? He's probably going to be out. Okay, so here's my suggestion to everyone who has T. Higgins on roster. Please listen up and listen very closely. Tomorrow morning, they're going to designate him out. You need to throw him into your injured reserve immediately and go pick up Luke McCaffrey. You understand? Does everybody understand the game plan for tomorrow? Please do that and prepare accordingly. If Luke McCaffrey is not available in your league, try to go find some other player that maybe it's a backup tight end that you're like, you know what, I feel confident here. Let me see if he can pop off for this given game. Or you can go elsewhere and figure it out in a different position. A younger player, somebody that hasn't proven themselves, that could have themselves a great game, but that's what we're looking for. Okay, cool, thanks. All right, let's see here. We're good to go. Okay, really quickly, I want to put together a couple pick'em slips with y'all via Underdog. So let's go ahead and let's travel over there really quickly. I see Cooper N, who sent in a super chat, says Godwin or Montgomery in a full PPR. Do you have Gibbs? If you have Gibbs and Montgomery, you kind of have to play them both. If it's not the case, I will play Godwin over Montgomery straight up in a bubble. Tank Dell or London? I'd rather play London there, Jonathan. Let's see here. Trevor Lim says, yeah, it was about a week ago. Okay, I didn't even know. I don't even remember. If Luke isn't there, let's see here. Okay, we're good to go. All right, so what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? This should be the shootout, right? So technically, we should have a Jermaine Burton, says Gio. Yeah, Jermaine Burton works as well. Jermaine Burton works as well. Okay, let's see here. Mike Evans, Olave, Devon Achane, full PPR, pick 2, says David. Evans, Olave, Devon Achane. I mean, at this point, it's probably Achane and Evans. Yeah, it's pretty comfortably, both of those. Pretty comfortably. David in the chat says, if Chase doesn't play, should I start Cincinnati Yoshivas, Indianapolis Mitchell, or AZ as an Arizona Dortch? I'd play Yoshivas there. Yeah, Yoshivas is the play. Hopkins is playing. Good to know. Thank you. We'll get a full indication by tomorrow morning. C-Crip says, you didn't answer my super chat. I did. You probably had an ad or something, or maybe you were distracted, but I did. I'll answer it again right now. So, in a full PPR, maybe I didn't answer your question. Nope, I didn't. I said C-Crip, and then something I may have gotten distracted. Anyway, let's get to it. Full PPR. Fields, Burrow. I know I answered your earlier one, but maybe this one I got mixed up on. Fields, Burrow, or Geno? I'll take Geno over the bunch. Also, should I go ahead and play DK Metcalf as my wide receiver 2 and Christian Kirk as my flex over Jamar? Yeah, you probably should. So it's probably a Geno DK Kirk play there, C-Crip. Thank you. Apologies for missing that. I swear I read your name and I just must have forgotten it outright. Apologies. Steven Peters says, kind of happy T. Higgins is out, or I wouldn't have started Jaden Reed last night. Yeah, lucky. Consider yourself lucky. Demo 305 says full PPR Pollard or Jamar, or not Jamar, Chase Brown. I'll take Pollard there. Daniels or Goff? I'll take Daniels there. Worthy startable now? If Marquise Hollywood Brown comes back next week, is he like, okay, here's the thing. Xavier Worthy ran 24 routes on Thursday. He got targeted twice. That is not a great number, right? What's 2 of 24? That's 1 of 12. 1 of 12 in terms of percentages is he got targeted 8% of the time that he ran a route. Not the greatest numbers. So, overall, he could be. Boomer bust player, though. National Champ Rush says Jaden Daniels or Purdy, Zamir White or Scary Terry. What's your scoring format, National Champ Rush? What's your scoring format? Romeo says Chargers or Bears defense. I'll take the Bears. Burrow or Herbert? That one I'm going to have to think about. That one I'll think about. I'm not 100% certain if I want to start Herbert or Burrow. Jeez, man. Herbert, I don't know if I can. I got to think about that. Burrow or Baker? That one's easier. I'll just play Baker there. I don't even have to stress on that. Especially considering Baker plays against Washington. Okay, let's see here. What were some of the plays that I liked overall? Let me scroll down this list here. 60 rushing yards against Arizona is pretty solid, I think. All right, getting back to the questions. We had a Cinco 2X question who says, drop Mike Williams for Jordan Mason. If you're a Christian McCaffrey manager, sure. The national champ mentioned half PPR. Got it. So in your circumstance here, national champ, I would play Jaden Daniels at quarterback, and I would play Zamir White as your as your flex, technically there. PPR Sutton or Addison? I think I have Sutton ahead of Addison. Let me check. Yes, I do. Not by much, but he's ahead of him. Cup or London? Cup. Rest of season, Lockett or Jacoby Myers? I'd rather have Jacoby Myers. Tua or Daniels? I believe, let me check. I have Jaden Daniels 2 spots ahead of Tua. My number 6 compared to my number 8 of the remaining quarterbacks, the remaining 28. Start Burrow or Stafford? Stafford. Okay, so let's see here. What else can we put together? You know what I actually think is not a bad play? If you take his anytime rushing touchdown, because it's a 1.13x and they have the vulture, you know what? For now, we're just going to keep it as is. I'm not going to get too cute with it. Let's see. What else do we have here? 68. Okay, this game should be a higher scoring one, but I don't know if I want to mess with it. What do we have in terms of... They still have Jamar Chase on the board, which is interesting. JSN or Mostert? Probably Mostert there. Najee or Connor? Connor. Bills defense, good for week 1. Let me see if I have them ranked. So as it currently stands, I have the Bills defense. Yes, they're in my top 5 defensive rankings this weekend. Mike Gesicki, does he have... Look, if he had like a reception total, like 1.5 receptions, I would consider it. Same thing with Yoshi Voss. But again, they're going to play a little conservative until they have an understanding as to who's going to play where. Let's see. What else do we have here? How many rushing attempts does he have? 15.5. Receptions at 3.5. Interesting. Yoshi Voss or Curtis Samuel this week, says Tony. I'd play Yoshi Voss. Mostert or Tank Dell, already starting Achane. I think it's probably your best bet to start both those running backs so that even if Mostert steals the touchdowns, you're not losing the value there sitting on your bench. Tommy says, hey, Andrew, should I be panicking if I have Travis Kelce after week 1 performance? And how do you feel about him going forward? I'm scared. I don't think you should be that worried. Again, they played against a really solid defense against the Baltimore Ravens. They're not going to have to face them every week. "10 targets is his number?" Yo, that is such a ridiculous number. I mean, I don't know who else they're going to throw the ball to, to be honest, but should be decent. Should be decent. Scrolling down, I just want to see if I can find any play that's worth taking. 44.5 rushing yards seems relatively low, especially against Tennessee. We had a couple super chats sent in. One from Dre, who says, Connor, Aaron Jones, Jerome Ford, Javonte Williams, Moss, start 2 in a PPR. Aaron Jones is number 1. Jerome Ford is number 2 there. Dre, thank you. We had also had a question from Steven Drakes, who says, so I play in an IDP league. I have defensive extra player. I don't need. Should I drop them and pick up Luke McCaffrey anyway? I don't mind that. Yeah, well, let's go for it. Nicholas Thompson says half PPR, Kincaid or Zamir White in the flex. Let me check my rankings. It's probably going to be Kincaid, I'm going to be honest, but we'll see. Yeah, it's Kincaid, but barely. What's your thoughts on Kittle this season? Very much so touchdown dependent. But otherwise, he's going to be normal Kittle. He's going to have ups and downs like no other. His ups are going to be beautiful. They're going to literally win you weeks, and his downs are going to lose you weeks. But that's just Kittle, and that's just the tight end position. What are we going to do? You think Luke McCaffrey is going to have some targets this week? I mean, I wouldn't say to start him. I'm just literally saying to pick him up and put him on the bench, because if he does have those targets, I'd like to have him on my bench before I have to go and waste the waiver wire, pick up on him. Let's see here. Nico Collins or Neighbors? I play Nico Collins there. Let's see. Where are we at in terms of receptions on Kamara? 4.0. Having to take higher on that is kind of sketch, but this is what I actually like. Give me the vulture protection. What else can we pair here? What else can we pair? Zamir White, we already did a play with like yesterday. What other potential options are there? Kenneth Walker is probably the play in this circumstance, probably higher on. Maybe we just take the anytime touchdown and then just get the protection form from it. Nah, you know what? I'm actually curious. What was his numbers last season? Kenneth Walker. When he was healthy, I'm actually curious what his rushing attempt totals were. I mean, obviously he's a different offensive coordinator, but so in terms of what, 12, 17, 18, yeah, no. I'm taking the higher on that. That's fine. Okay, that's the play that I'm going to roll with. $10, 6.9x. I have the potential option of getting saved if Alvin Kamara gets a rushing touchdown stolen from him by Taysom Hill. So I'm pretty much insured pretty easily across the board here. I'll take that as another one of these plays. It's just a $10 bet, nothing crazy. Pretty good. I'll also probably put together another one for tomorrow morning because I have the ability to well, maybe even tomorrow night. We'll see. But I'll show it to you guys tomorrow morning in regards to putting together this play. The free play of the week for me. Thank you. Okay. Getting back to answering questions. Again, we're going to be here for the next 26 minutes answering questions until 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do not forget that tomorrow morning, I'll be back here on the channel answering questions from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys have any questions, you can swing on by. We'll have updated rankings on screen behind me. I am quite literally the only channel in all of the YouTubes that will have rankings on screen every Sunday morning. Why? Because I'm the man of the people, and I legitimately I want to help to the best of my ability. But at the same time, also have to make a living off this. So that's why we have the Patreon. That's why we have the Underdog. So if you guys are interested there, be sure to support the channel in regards to that. Thank you. Okay. Let's see some of these questions. We took care of Nicholas Thompson. Chico410 says, if the reports are true and Ayuk does not have a full workload, should I pivot to Keenan Allen, Shakir, or Jameson Williams? If the reports come to fruition, it would be safer just to play Keenan Allen tomorrow. If he's going to be in a limited capacity and he has to see Sauce Gardner in coverage, it's not a fun play. Who's winning the game between the Bengals and Patriots? I would venture to say it's probably the Bengals. Colby Martinez says, ETN, Mostert, Connor, or Zamir White? ETN. Please and thank you, Colby. Do you have Monty over Jones this week? No, I don't. In half or full PPR, I do not have him over Jones this week. Aaron Jones is higher in both my rankings there. In a standard league, I would play Monty, though. Palmer or Brian Thomas Jr.? Palmer for right now. ETN, okay, we took care of that one. Edward says, I knew Flowers was going to be a flop. I think he's good, but not with Lamar running the ball this way. I mean, didn't Flowers have pretty good utilization? Let me see here. I thought he had a pretty good amount of touches. Like, sure, his upside. Yeah, look, 10 targets is great. 2 rushing attempts. He touched the ball 8 times. I understand the yardage that he gained wasn't great, but if it's me and there's someone like you saying that he's a flop, I'm trading for Zay Flowers. That's what I'd rather do. Shoot, I'm all in on that. All in. The opportunity to touch the ball 12 times in a game is unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. And on top of that, sure, his yardage wasn't great, but he'll get touchdowns. He'll get better yardage games. He was going up against a tough secondary. Trent McDuffie is not a slouch of a corner. That was a tough matchup across the board. Nico Collins or Garrett Wilson, says Taylor Rudd. I'd rather play Garrett Wilson there. I mean, I have them both in my top 12, but yeah, I'll take Garrett Wilson. Is Jaden Reed the number 1 of the Packers? It is evident that is probably the case. Pittman or London, says Ando. Ando, what's up? Long time no see. I'll take London there. Renee says, have love, pick up Fields or Trevor Lawrence. Let me see here. Jaguars schedule. So in the next 4 weeks, I'm just trying to get a scale as to who would be the better pickup in play for the going ahead. So the next couple games for the Jaguars are pretty tough. They have the Browns, Bills, and they have the Texans, and then the Colts. Then we have Buccaneers schedule. I'll take Baker. I'll take Baker there. That's fine by me. We had a super chat sent in from Cinco2X. Cinco, thank you. He says, full PPR, Jamison Williams, or I'm assuming that's Javonte. Jay Williams, I'm assuming it's Javonte. If you guys are going to type in JMO, just put JMO. Just so there's no confusion in that regard. But yeah, for right now, Stevenson or Javonte Williams, full PPR. I'll take Javonte. Follow up, start 1 PPR, Brian Thomas Jr., Sutton, Deontay Johnson, Josh Palmer. I'll take Deontay Johnson there. And then your last question, Brian Thomas Jr., Palmer, Jay Williams, full PPR, start 1. It's probably Jay Williams. Thank you. SL Hazard says, should I start Trevor Lawrence over Anthony Richardson in a Superflex? No. Anthony Richardson is him. Like he's a machine. He's a fantasy god amongst men. Maurice Brown sends in a super chat. Thank you, Maurice. Appreciate it. Should I start Achane or Calvin Ridley? Achane. 100%. Absolutely without a doubt. Okay. Got offered Waddle for McLaurin. Do I accept? Yes. Please and thank you. Dom17. Spam the button. Hurry. Before they change their mind. Go. Yes, we'll take Waddle over McLaurin. Absolutely freaking lootly. SL Hazard says, Trevor Lawrence, BTJ connection might be fire this year. No, it is going to be fire this year. It's not might. It will be. It may take a little bit of time to get there because, again, he's a rookie wide receiver and he's still trying to find his role within the offense at a full capacity and gain the confidence to know that, yeah, he can beat anybody in the league with his route running ability. Which, again, at times his separation wasn't great in the preseason, but he'll get better. Billy says, I'm dropping Higgins. Okay. Who should I pick up? No, I wouldn't drop him. Put him on your injured reserve tomorrow morning. Okay? Do you hear me, Billy? Tomorrow morning, when they designate him from doubtful to out, you're going to take him, you're going to put him on your IR slot. After you put him on the IR slot, then you can go out and you can pick up Devin Singletary there. Or Jordan Addison. Gus Edwards or Tony Pollard? I'd rather play Tony Pollard. I don't know how much Gus Edwards work we're going to see with him splitting down the middle with J.K. Dobbins. That is what the implication is based on what Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, said in the press conference yesterday. He said, we're going to play the hot hand. Otherwise, it's going to be a 50-50 split. Let's see here. Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins, week 1. I have Kirk Cousins ahead of Brock Purdy as of right now. Zach Moss or Jordan Addison, full PPR. In the full PPR, it makes me lean towards Addison. Why is everyone so high on Richardson given we've only seen him in 4 games? Because we've seen him in 4 games. Okay, for example, let's just put it this way, right? If we had never seen him play before, we would be a little bit more reserved in terms of our potential projections, but we've seen him play. And in the 2 full healthy weeks that he's played in his NFL career, he was a top 5 quarterback in both of those weeks for fantasy. The other week in which he left early against the Houston Texans, he scored 17.7 points in the first quarter. He is a machine. He is a man amongst boys. I'm telling you, this guy is. When I say he is the combination of what Josh Allen and Cam Newton made a child and put him at quarterback, this is what Anthony Richardson is. All right. BMK Fish says, thoughts on Ridley this season? I mean, I had a video a couple weeks back in terms of players that could be league winners. Calvin Ridley could be that, but it's purely up to whether or not Will Levis can elevate him to that level. That's really it. If Will Levis is better than we think, then we'll be fine. Let's see here. Hayes sent in a super chat. Thank you, Hayes. Full PPR flex, Terry McLaurin or James Conner? In a full PPR, I'd probably feel more comfortable playing Terry McLaurin there. Max Block says, Ayuk, Yoshivas, or Cooks. I'll know by tomorrow morning for sure. Cole World, please stop spamming. Please. Do us all a favor. Do not spam. CTE says, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, or Tank Dell in the flex. That is probably... I'm thinking it's probably going to be DJ Moore. Pittman or London? I'm probably going Pittman. No, I'm sorry. I'm going London. Apologies. Steelers or Vikings defense? Probably Vikings. Pickens or Keenan Allen? Pickens. Should I flex Ford or Godwin half PPR? Probably Ford. Josh Allen and Cam Newton had a child. Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you. That's what he is. BMK Fish says, okay, so we took care of that. We're good to go. Quaid, David Montgomery, or James Conner? Full PPR. All right, Cole. Sorry about it. All right, let's see here. Quaid says David Montgomery or James Conner, full PPR, rest of season. I'd rather have David Montgomery, rest of season. Fizz says I have Mostert in my flex, full PPR. Okay. Achane is my other starter. I have Ridley, Ayuk, Moss, JMO, Spears, McLaurin on the bench. Is Raheem Mostert the best option for the flex? I think in terms of the safest option and also in terms of protecting you, yes, it probably is. Viz. Kirk or Tank? Tank Dell. Farmer says, is Isaiah likely a big number 1 game to start? I mean, look, again, we'll see. We'll see how it kind of transpires. But we have high hopes. Will Lutz, decent kicker option. He was last year. But again, kicker options are tough. Typically, we want to lean towards the games that are going to be higher scoring events. Zeke Rodriguez with the super chat says, I have CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Hurts / Adunze for Prescott and... What? Wait, I have CeeDee Lamb. Do I send Hurts and Adunze for Prescott and Thielen? Absolutely not. I'd much rather have Jalen Hurts. What the heck are you talking about? Much rather have Jalen Hurts and Adunze. So much more valuable. You'd get fleeced if you made that trade. Mondre or JSN? Probably Mondre. Thank you, Relevant Me. Appreciate it. Jeffrey says Bengals or Patriots? Who's winning the game tomorrow? I mentioned this earlier. I answered it. I said I'm picking the Bengals. Thank you, Viz. Appreciate it. John Kim says Matthew Stafford or Brock Purdy. I'll take Stafford there. With Love out, Kirk, Tua, or Stafford? I'd have to look at their schedules. Let me see what Tua's Dolphins look like in terms of schedule. Okay, let's see here. Miami Dolphins schedule. We have the Bills on Thursday Night Football, which I don't love because they got smacked by the Bills the last couple of years. Then they have the Seahawks. They have the Titans. They have the Patriots. Okay, let me look at the alternative options. Let me look at Kirk Cousins. Let's look at Atlanta's schedule for this season. They have Philadelphia the week after, then Kansas City, then New Orleans. Of the available options, I think I'm going to swap every week. Like next week, I'd like to play Stafford there. The week after, I'd like to play Tua there. The week after, I'd like to play Kirk Cousins. So if you can jump from one to another, sure. But for now, with Jordan Love as your quarterback and him getting injured now, Stafford will probably be the play for this upcoming week against the Cardinals. Waddle or Najee? It's Waddle there, Peter. Rogo says one more from me. Keep Philly defense. Top 6 available are New Orleans, Chicago. It depends. Are you going to play matchups? Like this upcoming week, they play against what? Tampa Bay? I don't feel incredibly comfortable about playing them against Tampa. So for now, I probably just play matchups and go with one of the other alternative options there. Andrew in the flex, do I play Pickens, Edwards, Ridley? I play Ridley there, Christian Ramos. Jeffrey Navarro sends in a super chat. Jeffrey says, thanks, bro, you the man. That's it? No question? I don't know if your question got attached there, Jeffrey Navarro. Let me see if Jeffrey Navarro. Let me see if you had a question above. Okay, got it. You were asking about. Okay, got it. Good to go. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Full PPR Ayuk, JMO, Pollard. Probably gonna be Ayuk. Oh no. Sorry. And then you have Hubbard as well. It probably ends up becoming Hubbard there. Yeah, it probably ends up being Hubbard there. Ramen. Malik Neighbors or Nico Collins. Full PPR. Curtis, I would go with Nico Collins there. Goff, Fields, or Dak for this week. It's probably going to be it's probably going to be Goff. Swift, Zamir White, Spears, pick 2. I'll take Swift and Zamir White. Got it. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Rogo. Yoshi or Lad? Under the assumption, no, I'd probably still play Yoshi tomorrow. Yeah. Regardless of whether or not Jamar Chase plays, I'd still rather play Yoshi. Jerome Ford or Waddle in the flex, half PPR. Probably going to be a Waddle play there. Keon Coleman or Zach Moss in the flex, Zach Moss. Alrighty. Again, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. I will be here every Saturday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. for the remainder of the season. Additionally, I'm going to try to live stream every day for the remainder of the season. Tomorrow, we will be back from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys have any questions in regards to anything, please be sure to swing on by, get those questions answered. If you guys don't want to swing by in the morning, again, you're trying to take a nap or you're trying to get your sleep because you've obviously slept late after, whatever you guys do tonight, you can also check out Underdog Fantasy. Again, if you're eligible to do so based on your current location, you can sign up using code Andrew, make a first-time deposit minimum of $10. And of course, I'll send you my Sunday morning rankings every week for the remainder of the season. Additionally, if you guys are not eligible there, still want the rankings, you can go ahead and check out the Patreon. Link is down in the description. I mentioned it earlier. You get rankings every Thursday and Sunday morning at all positions, full PPR, flex, half PPR, all of it. Additionally, you can ask me unlimited questions. So just in the way in which people send in super chats on a consistent basis here, you just pay a 1-month subscription there and you can ask me unlimited questions for the entire month, whatever it be. So if you guys are interested, check that out. Also, we have the private Discord where you can take advantage of that and much more. So if you guys are interested, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Outside of that, Andrew wants to go and lift weights right now. So I'm just trying to close out today's stream with a couple more questions here in the final 10 minutes. And then I'm hitting the gym and getting ready for tomorrow's stream, kind of finalizing rankings and stuff like that. Endgame Underworld says, how do we feel about dropping Andrews and picking up Jonnu? Nope, do not drop Andrews. If you drop Andrews, I will laugh at you. I will make fun of you. No, I'm just kidding. Endgame, please be sure to just keep him on roster. Keep them on roster, and if you can pick up Likely, have them both on roster because they could both be of value going forward. Jakey says, with Christian McCaffrey questionable, do I start Corum? Nope, you do not. You play Christian McCaffrey. I know it's I wouldn't say sketchy, but I know it could be nerve-wracking. You're going to play Christian McCaffrey on Monday. Let's see your full PPR flex, Palmer, Pollard, Dobbins, Hopkins. Of those available options, I'd probably play Palmer. Yoshi? Yeah, Yoshi. If you go look at the depth chart for the Bengals, Andre Yoshivas. I don't know why it's pronounced that way, but we call him Yoshi. Colby Martinez, Connor, Rashad White, Harris, Dobbins, Zamir White. Of those available, Colby, I'm thinking it's Rashad White for sure. And then it's probably either Connor or Zamir White. If it's a half PPR, I'd probably end up playing Connor there. Thank you. If it was a standard, I would probably go with Zamir. Thank you, Robert. Is Christian McCaffrey a go? He should be. Yes. He said yesterday, literally in a press conference, I'm going to play. So, don't stress it. Don't stress it. They're just being very cautious with him. Matt JB1 says half PPR flex, Zamir White or Brian Thomas Jr. In a half PPR, I feel comfortable playing Zamir White there. Kirk or Neighbors PPR. Ricky, play Neighbors. Complete Chaos says half PPR, Najee, Kirk, Shakir, Robinson, Hubbard. I play Hubbard there out of the bunch. Christian McCaffrey said he's playing. Yep, we should be good. BTJ or Deontay? For right now, I'm gonna lean towards Deontay. Montgomery or Cooper in the flex. If it's a half PPR or a standard, I'd probably play Montgomery. Only in a full PPR would I ever consider Cooper there. Start McCaffrey? Yes. What a bold prediction to say, huh? To start McCaffrey. Listen, McCaffrey, I've got $1,000 on McCaffrey scoring a touchdown this weekend, guys. I am at the utmost of confidence that man is going to play. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be calling my lawyers. I'm just kidding. Would you play Jermaine Burton over Shakir if Chase is out? Probably not. I probably still play Khalil Shakir. Tony says McLaurin, Connor, Yoshivas in the flex full PPR. McLaurin is the answer. Jonathan says full PPR, Terry McLaurin or David Montgomery. I'd only ever play Montgomery over Terry McLaurin in the full PPR in that circumstance if you have Gibbs already on roster starting. That's the only reason I would ever do it. Otherwise, you should probably play Terry there. Ando says half PPR, Jordan Mason or Gus Edwards. You play Gus Edwards for sure. How are we feeling about Cooper Kupp? Should be fantastic play. Again, I don't really trust that the Detroit Lions have done enough to kind of make their secondary superior to be able to kind of withstand what the passing attack of the Rams are going to be able to provide here. It's going to be tough for them to stop Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Both of them should have great weeks. Thoughts on Bowers? I have Andrews. Brock Bowers, of course, has been dealing with an injury for the last couple of weeks. He's fully practiced, which is great. I think Sunday's game against the Chargers is going to be very much so in understanding as to how they're going to utilize him. Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears for the last 2 years, has come in. And again, we know that the last 2 years, he has made Cole Kmet a top 12 tight end for fantasy, mainly because Cole Kmet has scored red zone touchdowns. As long as Brock Bowers is going to have that role within the offense and get himself utilization with inside the 20-yard line, what he does between the 20s is relevant. As long as he's going to be a consistent tight end touchdown option, we'll be fine there. But we'll get an understanding as to whether or not Gardner Minshew prefers to utilize him as the number 2 option of the offense in comparison to Jacoby Myers. And that will really give us an understanding as to how much we can trust him going forward. Should I be concerned about Jalen Johnson shadowing Calvin Ridley? Look, Jalen Johnson's a monster. Don't get it twisted. Of all the corners, he got a bag as well. He is legit. As to how they're going to utilize Calvin Ridley, there is more opportunity for Calvin Ridley to be moved into the slot position to find himself utilization. Again, what we heard this offseason from Brian Callahan, okay, quote unquote, was, I want to utilize Calvin Ridley as the Jamar Chase of my team. Okay. So when you say things of that nature, that leads me to believe, okay, if you're going to utilize the exact same type of offense schematically that the Cincinnati Bengals used, because again, he was the former OC of that team. If they're going to utilize a lot more Calvin Ridley in the slot position, there are games last season where Jamar Chase played 40% of his snaps and ran his routes 35% of the time from the slot position. There's more of a likelihood that DeAndre Hopkins will be on the outside pulling that coverage on a consistent basis in comparison to Calvin. Let's see here. Start 2, Metcalf, Neighbors, Cooper. Probably Metcalf and Neighbors. Pittman or London? London. Deontay Johnson or DJ Moore? DJ Moore. Start Tua or Joe Burrow? Tua. Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards. Tua Tagovailoa. Okay. Brian Thomas Jr. or Rico Dowdle. For this week, let's go with Brian Thomas Jr. Let's see what Rico Dowdle does in the game. And then after that, we can kind of proceed the remainder of the season with an understanding as to what we're going to potentially get out of his utilization, if in fact it's enough to start him. Of course. Thank you. Okay. The final question of the stream will likely be Michael here or Clark or Christian. One of these three. Or Alex. We'll see. Michael says, in a full PPR, Godwin or Palmer or Godwin, Godwin, right? Yes, you play Chris Godwin. Are there any concerns about AJ owner with Smith eating up opportunity? As in AJ Brown owner with Smith eating up opportunity? Is that what we're referring to? Because how many targets did AJ Brown have last night? I thought he had a pretty decent number. Let's see here. Let's check. So overall, let's check here. AJ Brown had 5 receptions on how many targets? Where's the stats? Let me go to ESPN. 10 targets. I don't know what we're worried about. Am I confused? I don't understand. I don't think there's anything to worry about with that offense. Let's see here. What does it say? Ridley or Deontay? Ridley. Ridley over Pickens this weekend? Yes, probably. Start 2 over Joe Burrow? Yes. Okay. Clark says, okay, we took care of that one. DK or Ridley? DK. Tank Dell or Diggs? Diggs. Judy, Mostert, Godwin, Coleman, Najee. In a full PPR, we play Godwin there. Must start Mostert? Yeah, you probably should. Okay, guys. That's going to cover it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then I'll also probably be back tomorrow night for another live stream, reviewing week 1 and seeing how we can proceed for week 2. All right, guys. I'm going to cue the music. I'm going to let the double helix hit. And until tomorrow morning, I'll see you guys. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Peace.